Chapter 1021. Still not returning here? Fang Yuan's soul left the pure dream reality seeker physique body. He flew towards this mysterious rank 9 immortal goo. The moment they interacted, Fang Yuan felt an immeasurable suction force. This immortal goo, named Sovereign Immortal Fetus Goo by Spectral Soul, seemed to be eager for a soul already. Fang Yuan's soul entered it. It was as if he had fallen into the whirlpools of falling heavenly river at once. His soul was sucked in by the immortal goo. He was blending into it at an unbelievable speed. Fang Yuan could not think. He felt that he was inside darkness that was unfathomably deep. This darkness was not cold. It was warm. It was like he had gone back into his mother's womb. He was like a fetus inside amniotic fluid and outside. After Fang Yuan's soul entered the rank 9 immortal goo, the sky rumbled loudly. It seemed furious, but helpless at the same time. Sovereign Immortal Fetus Goo began to shine brightly. First, there was white light, from pale transparent light to pure white light, and finally to thick milky white light. Next, there was a hint of red inside the white light. The red quickly spread, turning the light into pale pink, before it turned pinkish red, and finally, bright red like fire. After red light, it turned into orange. After orange, it turned into yellow, like the colors of the rainbow. It continued changing, until finally, the light became black. Inside the black-colored light, Sovereign Immortal Fetus Goo twitched continuously. From the size of a thumb, it expanded to the size of a basin. Inside this dark ball, a fetus was shining brightly in rainbow light. It could vaguely be seen. Life force was gathering. It was growing and becoming stronger. White fog started to surround it. The temperature of the surroundings fell rapidly. Fog turned into frost, covering the surface of the ball. Next, lightning shot out, surrounding the ball, forming a web of lightning. Lightning crackled as sparks were created. The sparks fell on the frost and did not extinguish. Instead, the frost started burning. The frost turned into chi that surrounded the ball. Green patterns slowly appeared on the surface of the ball. Soon, they turned from phantom to solid, becoming countless vines and twigs. The twigs were wilted, while the leaves were green and lively. Soon, fruits began to grow around these leaves. These purple fruits emitted a fragrant smell. But the surface of the fruits were very ugly. There were many holes in them, like they were rotten. Many changes occurred. They were unimaginable. On the surface, they looked random and abrupt, but if one observed carefully, they seemed to contain the profoundness of heaven and earth. As the changes continued to occur, the fetus inside the ball grew larger. Eventually, after a total of 81 changes, the ball turned into mud. As the fetus inside was at its largest, a baby was formed, stretching his 4 limbs. At once, the ball that surrounded him cracked. The baby was born. This baby had a lively expression. His eyes were shining like stars. He had pale and fair skin. His limbs were chubby. His face was rosy, cute, and delicate. Immortal aura was oozing from him that a formless force surrounded his entire body. It protected him from damage. He was safe and sound. The baby gradually landed on the ground. During this process, he grew rapidly. From the time of his birth to when he was 2 to 3 years old physically, only a breath of time had passed. 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12 years old, when his legs landed on the ground. He was already a 16-year-old young lad. His skin was still white, but it was not pale white, nor a feminine pinkish white. It was a white that was clean and simple. His long hair was black and shiny, extending to his waist. His body was slightly thin. There was no excess flesh on his entire body. The bridge of his nose was high. The most attractive thing were his eyes. The starlight that was shining in his eyes had already become muted. They turned dark and deep like an abyss. His lips were quite rich, giving off a rosy and healthy glow. Right now, they were tightly pursed together, showing his mental state of being determined and unwavering. This youngster was naturally Fang Yuan at this moment. He opened his eyes. Looking at his young body, he was shocked. An entirely new body? The body that was created by Spectral Soul and the entirety of Shadow Sect. After countless years of hard work and effort, it was not as simple as it seemed. Regarding its traits, Fang Yuan had to explore further, but simply at this moment, Fang Yuan's first feeling was that this body was incomparably suited for his soul. In comparison, his previous immortal zombie body was like clothing made from twigs and leaves, and this new body was made with soft silk. Everything was different now. Fang Yuan felt that he had walked out of the darkness. He saw blue skies and white clouds. His perspective was broadened. This is the use of the sovereign immortal fetus goo that spectral soul had painstakingly created? Revival. And having rank 6 cultivation level upon revival. Fang Yuan's goo immortal aura was not fake, that he had made the right gamble. Even though he did not know what the use of this immortal goo was, seeing spectral soul float towards the immortal goo personally, Fang Yuan knew he could do the same. As he thought about these things, Fang Yuan directed his gaze towards the sky. There, spectral soul was still in the dream realm. This was within Fang Yuan's expectations. After all, spectral soul's condition was really terrible, and Ying Wuxie's body was no longer controlled by Fang Yuan's soul. It had already shut its eyes, floating in the air, unmoving. Fang Yuan called out, "Come back." Instantly, a large number of goo worms flew out of Ying Wuxie's body. Earlier, Fang Yuan's soul had entered the sovereign immortal fetus goo. All of the goo worms with him had stayed inside the pure dream reality seeker physique body. Now, Fang Yuan called out and retrieved these goo worms. Attitude immortal goo, unravel mystery immortal goo, change soul immortal goo, and other soul path and dream path mortal goo. Ying Wuxie still has a number of dream path immortal goo on his body. How can I retrieve them? Fang Yuan frowned. Feeling troubled, he had used change soul earlier, using attitude goo to disguise himself, and used the immortal killer move lead soul into dream. Even though he succeeded in affecting spectral soul, the wills inside these dream path goo worms had already reacted. Fang Yuan could not move them anymore. Not only the immortal goo in his body, Ying Wuxie's body itself has a lot of value for research. Fang Yuan suddenly turned around, seeing an immortal zombie approach him with an imposing demeanor. Fang Yuan's gaze flickered, his lips curled into a smile, thinking, "You are finally here." It was himself, or more accurately, it was Ying Wuxie's soul, who was manipulating Fang Yuan's former immortal zombie body to this moment. Fang Yuan had just obtained a new body. He was still adapting. The number of goo worms with him could not compare to the immortal zombie body, but Fang Yuan was not nervous. He waited for Ying Wuxie to arrive. "You are?" Ying Wuxie hesitated. He slowly approached Fang Yuan, assessing him closely. Fang Yuan purposely pretended to be close to him, placing his arms behind his back and saying, "Wuxie, I have succeeded. Fang Yuan's soul has already been completely destroyed. No, you are not my main body. If you are, with my relationship as a split soul, how can I feel no connection?" Ying Wuxie's eyes shined with bright light. He reacted and exposed Fang Yuan's true identity. Oh, ghostly concealment became a flaw instead. But if I could use familiar face, I should have been able to deceive him. Fang Yuan thought while rubbing his chin. He couldn't help but laugh. He was so casual. A confident light flickered in his eyes, as if he was in control of the situation. "You are Fang Yuan." Ying Wuxie understood. He gritted his teeth until they were making sounds. He was so angry he felt he was burning up. His anger was understandable. They had worked so hard, planning for countless years before seeing the fruits of their labor. But Fang Yuan actually snatched it from them now. Ying Wuxie shouted loudly, pouncing towards Fang Yuan. He wanted to hack him into a million pieces. They were 100 steps away from each other. Fang Yuan showed a smile like his scheme had succeeded. "Ying Wuxie, don't you find it strange? Fixed immortal travel is my immortal goo. How could you activate it?" Ying Wuxie's expression froze. Back then, he was anxious and used it subconsciously. He did not consider that point. Now that he was reminded by Fang Yuan, he knew something was amiss. His momentum was interrupted. "You could use fixed immortal travel because I lent it to you. I wanted you to rush here. Most of my accumulations are still in this body," Fang Yuan said. Since he knew that he was going to change souls with Ying Wuxie, with his personality and methods, why would he not set up some arrangements? Firstly, Fang Yuan concealed a huge amount of his fake will inside his mind. Because of this, when Ying Wuxie woke up, he wanted to rush back and ignored many things that did not seem right. This was like what Mo Yao's fake will did to Fang Yuan in Imperial Court Blessed Land. Secondly, Fang Yuan injected some special will into his goo. Worms. What were special wills? In 88 True Yang building, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had left behind a vast number of special wills. He set up some specific situations and they would activate accordingly. Just like now. Fang Yuan looked at Ying Wuxia approaching. As the smile on his face grew, he called out, "Still not returning here?" Swoosh, a large number of goo worms flew out. They were mostly mortal goo, but there were immortal goo mixed in them. Like birds flying back to their nests, they entered Fang Yuan's embrace. Ying Wuxia stared with wide-opened eyes, immensely shocked at that moment. He was all alone, without anything at his disposal. In his body, only Spring-Autumn Cicada was left, and he could not activate it. The situation on both sides flipped. Fang Yuan's arrangement was like this to as long as Ying Wuxia brought Fang Yuan's body back to Etion Mountain and heard someone call out, "Still not returning here." These goo worms would fly out and go to that person. These goo worms were originally Fang Yuan's. Now that they returned, they could be used at will, just like before. Back then, Fang Yuan did not know about the use of sovereign immortal fetus goo. He could not predict that he would revive and obtain a new body. He was worried that it might not be appropriate for him to use Ying Wuxia's goo worms. Unexpected surprises could easily occur. He needed his own goo worms to increase his battle strength at the crucial moment. Of course, the special will that Fang Yuan injected was not so simple. Once the time limit was exceeded, these goo worms, no matter if they were mortal or immortal, would self-destruct. Enemies were often the best teachers. Fang Yuan had suffered under the influence of Mo Yao's fake will and Giant Sun's special will. How could he not learn from them? Waving his hand, Fang Yuan easily sent Ying Wuxia flying. Everything is over. He walked to Ying Wuxia. Looking at the Fang Yuan in front of him, he sighed with complex emotions. Ying Wuxia felt like he was in an icy river. He was chilled to the bones. Chapter 1022. It was all heaven's will. Chapter 1022. It was all heaven's will. Book 5. Demon King's domination. Everything is over. Looking at Ying Wuxia under his feet, Fang Yuan sighed. After realizing he himself had fallen to a scheme, Ying Wuxia's heart was filled with ice-cold despair. He gave up completely. He knew he was thoroughly defeated and had no chance of turning around the situation. However, a change occurred right at this moment. Bam! A soft explosion erupted. Ying Wuxia's soul, as well as Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body, had instantly self-detonated. The immortal zombie body's down marks, as well as Ying Wuxia's soul, turned into fuel for Spring-Autumn Cicada. Spring-Autumn Cicada activated. A light flashed in Fang Yuan's eyes. Spring-Autumn Cicada once again entered the river of time. Fang Yuan was pale with shock. What's going on? What the hell is going on? Spring-Autumn Cicada is filled with my special will. How could it be activated by Ying Wuxia? No. Based on his expression, he already had no more will to resist. How could he activate my Spring-Autumn Cicada? Could it be that he was only acting? Spring-Autumn Cicada is my possession. I took extra precautions with the special will as well. How could it be activated by Ying Wuxia? Fang Yuan was filled with shock and fright, as well as questions. The questions he had puzzled him. Standing on the same spot, Fang Yuan did not move, like a stone statue. The change had occurred too suddenly. Soon, his forehead was filled with cold sweat. What to do? What can I do? Fang Yuan had used Spring-Autumn Cicada to turn around many situations, making comebacks and escaping from multiple dangerous scenarios. However, at this moment, facing someone else using Spring-Autumn Cicada, he found that he had no method to deal with it. His time path accumulation was indeed too weak. Without Spring-Autumn Cicada, he almost had no foundation in this aspect. Did I miscalculate? What else is there that I did not consider? Fang Yuan squinted, a drop of cold sweat slipping down from his forehead to his eyes, and then down across his face. Unable to find any answers, Fang Yuan shook his head and sighed. Nothing can be done about it. I already did my utmost. If Fang Yuan had not switched souls according to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's instructions, he would have utterly lost, with no chance to make a comeback. He simply could not have reached his current position. Could it be that because I did not follow star constellation Immortal Venerable's intention to destroy sovereign immortal fetus goo, this change occurred? Spring-autumn cicada has not recovered. Its activation now can only result in death. No, that's not right. Fang Yuan suddenly thought of a remaining arrangement created by Shadow Sect. That was the ghost face and the red lotus in the river of time. In an instant, a chill spread all over his body and his hair stood on end. Be prepared for the worst in every situation. If he succeeds in rebirth, what change will occur on my end? Right as Fang Yuan was thinking, he felt his vision starting to turn blurred, and it was not his vision turning blurry, it was the whole world turning blurry under the strength of time path. Because of Ing Wuxie's rebirth, everything was changing. Whoosh! Ing Wuxie quickly reacted, exclaiming in shock. This is the river of time? How could this be? How did the spring-autumn cicada activate? How can my consciousness replace Fang Yuan's consciousness in the spring-autumn cicada? He had no fewer questions than Fang Yuan. Although he was the person concerned, he had reached the river of time without knowing anything about how it happened. In the river of time, waves surged out. A huge wave ruthlessly crashed towards spring-autumn cicada. Ing Wuxie's will immediately became panicked, screaming in fear. Spring-autumn cicada was extremely weak. If it was struck by this wave, it had no possibility of surviving. Sigh. So it was like this. A sigh emerged during this moment of crisis. From the river of time floated out a ghost face. Its expression was bitter as it opened its mouth wide and spat out a red lotus. The red lotus opened up and obstructed the fatal wave. Afterwards, a formless suction force carried spring-autumn cicada, which contained Ing Wuxie's will, to the center of the red lotus. In an instant, Ing Wuxie's will had entered a dark red space. In this space, another will and spectral soul demon Venerable's appearance was sitting cross-legged in midair, smiling bitterly at him. Our main body actually left you behind as a last resort in the river of time. Ing Wuxie's will was stunned for a moment before he immediately asked joyfully. Spectral soul demon Venerable's will nodded, then shook his head. You can also be considered a split soul of the main body. You should have remembered me. But unfortunately, because of the pure dream reality seeker physique, your memories dissipated. Sigh, nothing can be done about it. You think I was willing? Ing Wuxie was extremely anxious. Also, what is going on? I had been schemed against by Fang Yuan and landed in his hands. I thought my death was certain. Why would I appear in the river of time? Also, I clearly did not use spring-autumn cicada. So why did it suddenly activate? Spectral soul demon Venerables will heaved a long sigh. I watched the whole series of events from inside this red lotus true inheritance and just came to a realization. You could enter here because heavens will help you. Spring-autumn cicada was also activated by heaven's will. What? Ing Wuxie almost collapsed from shock. This was beyond his wildest imagination. If it were not the genuine will of spectral soul in front of him, Ing Wuxie would absolutely not have believed this fact. Hasn't heavens will always been making difficulties for us? How could it suddenly help us? Ing Wuxie asked. Your memories have already completely dissipated. You lack my knowledge. Heavens will never made things difficult for us out of dislike. It also never helped us out of pity. The way of heaven is to be impartial. It is to take away surpluses while replenishing deficits. So all things are in balance and mutually restrict each other. As such, almost all fierce beasts have their natural enemies, and even rank 9 venerables have limited lifespan. Spectral soul demon venerables will pause for a moment before continuing. And the way of humans is exactly the opposite of the way of heaven. It is to reduce the deficits and build up the surpluses. An expert will want to become even stronger. The rich would want to become richer. A beauty would want to become more beautiful. Those who have found longevity will want to obtain eternal life. Human avarice knows no bound. It will never be satisfied and is opposed to heaven's will. I understand a little now. Heavens will help me because I failed. Fang Yuan has become a complete otherworldly demon and has already broken free of restrictions. If he is left unchecked, it will greatly damage the balance of heaven and earth. So heavens will shift at its target and wants to use me to deal with him and not let his plan succeed. But how could heavens will activate spring-autumn cicada? This immortal goo is clearly refined by Fang Yuan. Ing Wuxia was puzzled about this. Spectral soul demon venerables will replied, "Sigh. This is an action by heaven's will. I also realized it just earlier. When Fang Yuan obtained spring-autumn cicada, it was all arranged by heaven's will. Heaven's will had already chosen him as a tool, letting him rebirth and destroy our main body's plan. Now that I think about the information given by Ning Bing earlier, a place where Fang Yuan performed particularly out of the ordinary was at Qingmao Mountain. Although his aptitude was not good, his path had been smooth sailing, and at every urgent moment, he would make the wisest choice, obtaining the greatest benefits. Qingmao Mountain, Three Kings Blessed Land, Imperial Court Blessed Land, Etian Mountain. All along the way, he clearly has not used Spring-Autumn Cicada just once. Spring-Autumn Cicada is only rank 6, it has a failure rate, but he actually succeeded time after time. Besides the previous time where we helped him, he did not fail even once in all his other attempts. And bear in mind that Spring-Autumn Cicada lowers his luck. This is probably all because Heaven's will was helping him in secret, which allowed him to rise from a mortal to a Gu immortal in a handful of years, causing him to draw the attention of our main body and be chosen as a tool to deal with Heaven's will. Ing Wuxia was gobsmacked. Wait. You were saying spectral souls will nodded, right? This time, our main body failed primarily because of Fang Yuan. Our main body wanted to use Fang Yuan as a tool, but in fact, Fang Yuan was already a tool of Heaven's will. Regardless of how many times Fang Yuan underwent rebirth, before his first rebirth, our main body had likely already succeeded. Not only did we refine sovereign immortal fetus Gu, we might have even reached a heaven-defying level. Precisely because of this, Heaven's will did not stint on helping Fang Yuan, letting him rebirth and arrive in the past to destroy our main body's plan. Fang Yuan is quite an interesting character. He is an otherworldly demon, so he has the qualifications to rebirth and change the past. Ordinary people, no matter how superior they are, cannot escape the decree of fate. However, he is not a complete otherworldly demon, so he could still be influenced and manipulated by Heaven's will. He thought he was the one to refine Spring-Autumn Cicada and use it, but in fact that was never the case. This trump card, Spring-Autumn Cicada, was already infused with Heaven's will. It is clear this arrangement had already started the moment Fang Yuan obtained Spring-Autumn Cicada, but he was deceived by Heaven's will and never felt anything wrong. After all, Spring-Autumn Cicada can only carry a portion of will when traveling to the past, and wills are inferior to souls. They can very easily be influenced. It is like right now. I want to impart all my memories and knowledge to you, but unfortunately your will can only bear very little. For a moment, Ing Wuxia's mouth was wide open, unable to say anything. The waves of the river of time unceasingly crashed against the red lotus. Petals scattered along with the waves. Soon, only the innermost center of the flower was remaining. You don't have much time. Spectral soul demon venerables will sighed and continued. Fang Yuan is an otherworldly demon. Heavens will try to influence him as much as possible, but in the end, he followed his own mind's inner desires and chose to seize sovereign immortal fetus Gu, instead of destroying it. As such, he is like a chess piece who no longer is restricted by the rules of chess. Heavens will naturally would not tolerate such an existence, so it activated Spring-Autumn Cicada to use you in the process of dealing with Fang Yuan. But Heaven's will is not going to let you regain sovereign immortal fetus Gu after you rebirth. So, after you rebirth, you would likely not have any easy opportunities to change the overall situation. Don't be impatient and ruin this final chance. Ing Wuxia asked, "Then what should I do?" Now, Zombie Alliance is already annihilated, Shadow Sect is also destroyed. Even my main body is in a dangerous situation. But Shadow Sect's immortals have all left behind some arrangements for the future. You can use these to re-establish Shadow Sect. Fate is hard to defy, but luck can be exploited. The power from Northern Plains Longevity Heaven can be used. On Central Continent side, there are also hidden forces which have not been targeted by the 10 great ancient sects. Your will is limited. Knowing this much is already your maximum. Use these to re-establish Shadow Sect and save our main body. Most crucially, you need to inform our main body of this important information, because when you rebirth, Both I and this red lotus true inheritance will also change, and I won't remember these things. At that time, you will be the only person who knows. Remember, a tall tree is the first to face destruction. Soil that is nearest to the water will be the first to be swept away by the currents. Our previous action of hiding and accumulating power to deal with heavens was correct. Since we succeeded once, then we can succeed a second time. Take care of yourself. Chapter 1023, Ing Wu Xie Rebirths. The sound of the wind was blowing intensely as Fang Yuan, who was still flying, jolted to awareness. He blurted out, "I was reborn. Spring-autumn cicada is amazing indeed. Worthy of Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital immortal goo. What time is it now?" Ing Wu Xie stopped moving. He looked around, realizing that he was on the way to Etian Mountain at this moment. He was less than 10,000 li away from his destination. Fang Yuan purposely lent me fixed immortal travel so that I could get to him. He would then take his goo worms back and obtain victory. But he did not expect that he was Heaven's will's tool to begin with. The spring-autumn cicada that he had was controlled by Heaven's will all along. Now that I have been reborn, I know the appearance of Etian Mountain scenery clearly. I can use fixed immortal travel to teleport there directly. I can deal with Fang Yuan and take revenge. Thinking of this, Ing Wu Xie shook his head rapidly. Damn it. Fang Yuan's fake will affected my judgment again. Ing Wu Xie gritted his teeth. Heaven's will truly has ill intentions. Even if I rush over now, Fang Yuan has already used sovereign immortal fetus goo. He is weakened at most. All I can do is injure him. What a pity. If I return to the time when I just escaped from the dream realm, I would be able to turn this around. Humph, but Heaven's will would not allow that. It does not want to see my main body obtain sovereign immortal fetus goo. Since the outcome is already decided, I should follow the instructions of my main body and retreat. Heaven's will wants us to fight. How can I let its scheme succeed? Anyone who can achieve great things must be able to endure the most unbearable things. I do not need to deal with Fang Yuan. He can draw the attention of Heaven's will. In the future, if he is still alive, I will use him as the material to refine sovereign immortal fetus goo again. I can save a lot of time and effort in that case. I need to rebuild Shadow Sect. This is definitely not the end. I can make use of Tai by Yunsheng and He Lulan, but I cannot let them meet Fang Yuan. Since he knew about the fake will, he was on guard against it. Ing Wu Xie escaped from Fang Yuan's scheme. He took a final look at Etian Mountain. Anger, hatred, and anticipation were flickering in his eyes at this distance. He could see that Etian Mountain was in rubble. The despicable thief Fang Yuan, the one who took the fruits of his labor, was definitely still there, but he could not go there now. The most important thing was the big picture. Ing Wu Xie gritted his teeth, turning around and leaving. Why has Ing Wu Xie not come here yet? Fang Yuan waited for a long time. His heart sank to rock bottom. This means he saw through my arrangements and left my control. Fang Yuan was frowning deeper. Although he did not know what happened, he did not know the truth of spring-autumn cicada with the memories of the previous life gone. But Fang Yuan knew one thing clearly. He was in quite a pinch. If Ing Wu Xie does not come here, the special will that I placed in my goo worms will not activate. After the time limit, these goo worms will self-detonate. I need to get to Ing Wu Xie as soon as possible, suppressing or convincing Tai by Yunsheng and He Lulan to subdue him with me. Fang Yuan still had attitude goo. This was the best evidence to convince He Lulan.as for Tai by Yunsheng. It was even easier. After spending so much time together, he just needed to reveal some details to convince him. Fang Yuan inspected his goo worms. He had regained control of the goo worms that he brought after using Change Soul. The highest-ranking one was the legendary Attitude Immortal Goo. Other than that, he had the Wisdom Path Immortal Goo Unravel Mystery, and the Soul Path Immortal Goo Change Soul.as for the others. They were all Dream Path and Soul Path Mortal Goo. They were not worth mentioning. Fang Yuan frowned deeply. Among them, there was no movement-type goo worm. Do I need to chase after Ing Wu Xie, who has fixed immortal travel, on foot? Or maybe I can subdue the Dream Path goo worms on Ing Wu Xie's body first. These goo worms include movement-type goo worms. But inside these goo, there was none of Fang Yuan's will. Thus, Fang Yuan could not subdue them easily like unravel mystery and change soul.to use them. He might need to use attitude gu to deceive them, but he had already deceived them once. Fang Yuan felt little confidence in succeeding a second time. But I have no choice, I must try. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan subconsciously raised his head, looking at Ing Wuxie's body in the sky. He did not expect that this was the last time he was seeing Ing Wuxie's body. At the next moment, Ing Wuxie's body self-destructed. There was no sound. This was a silent explosion. The result of the explosion was not bloody. It was beautiful and dazzling. The entirety of Ing Wuxie's body turned into layers of dazzling lights. These beautiful lights were shining in the colors of the rainbow. They were extremely beautiful. But looking at this beautiful sight, Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk. He quickly retreated, getting some distance from it, because he recognized this was a dream realm. This dream realm had manifested externally. It was unfathomably deep, forming right in front of him. Did this happen because I used lead soul into dream on spectral soul? No, definitely not. All of a sudden, why did Ing Wuxie's body self-detonate? And it turned into a dream realm. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly. He did not know that Ing Wuxie's lifespan was only 18 hours. During the 18 hours, Ing Wuxie turned from a mortal into a rank 1, rank 2, 3, 4, 7, and rank 8 Gu immortal. Every 2 hours, his cultivation level increased by 1 rank. At the final moment, he would even become a rank 9 Gu immortal. But once the 18 hours was up, he would self-detonate, turning into a dream realm. He was born from nothing. He was created using immortal Gu become real, appearing from a dream realm. It was not strange that he turned into a dream realm. The dream realm created from his detonation expanded rapidly, spreading out. Fang Yuan raced away as fast as he could. He fled for 700 li, until he was out of the dream realm's radius. If he was inside the dream realm, he would be in trouble. Even though Fang Yuan had unravel mystery immortal Gu, he did not have enough mortal Gu to use his immortal killer move, Unravel Dream. The dream realm was still spreading, but the speed was decreasing. Fang Yuan could only keep retreating. When he was 1,000 li away from Etian Mountain, the dream realm stopped expanding. In this way, a giant dream realm that stretched 1,000 li after manifestation appeared in front of Fang Yuan, filling his vision. Fang Yuan's heart jumped. Thankfully, I did not listen to star constellation Immortal Venerable at the end and destroy sovereign immortal fetus Gu. Otherwise, my soul would be trapped along with Ing Wuxie's body in this giant dream realm until my death. What do I do now? This change severely disrupted Fang Yuan's plans. Ing Wuxie's body was extremely valuable. He had a set of dream path Gu worms and could use the formidable lead soul into dream. What Fang Yuan wanted the most was spectral soul. Even though he was in bad condition, if he escaped the dream realm and ended up in Fang Yuan's hands, Fang Yuan could soul search him and obtain lots of secrets, along with a vast amount of cultivation experience. And this huge battlefield, even though it was ravaged by myriad tribulations, some Gu immortals' immortal apertures might be left behind. At the least, life and death-blessed land was still around. But now, all of these things were covered by the dream realm, regardless of whether Fang Yuan had unravel dream. Even if he could use it, how many years would it take him to unravel this dream realm and get to the center of the battlefield? Fang Yuan clenched his fists, looking at the giant dream realm. He sighed helplessly. At this point, there are no other options. I cannot stay here. After such a commotion, southern border Gu immortals are definitely rushing here. Fang Yuan quickly moved according to his memories that he chose the direction where Tai Bai Yun Sheng had escaped with his body. Hopefully, my luck is good, and I can encounter them. Fang Yuan was not going to succeed. He did not know that after encountering some southern border Gu immortals, Tai Bai Yun Sheng and He Lulan had already changed directions after the intense battle. He also did not know that using the advantage of rebirth, Ing Wuxie had joined up with Tai Bai Yun Sheng and He Lulan already. Fang Yuan, you had better explain it properly, otherwise, we will be enemies. He Lulan's expression was dark. She was very rude towards Ing Wuxie. Tai Bai Yunsheng quickly waved his hands. Calm down. I believe Fang Yuan has his reasons. Listen to him. Ing Wuxie looked at Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lulan in a sincere manner. I was too anxious. I was hit by his killer move. I did not just end up in the dream realm. Right now, most of my goo worms cannot be used. Only by killing him can this killer move be undone. But I saw you use fixed immortal travel. If not for the fact that our locations can be detected with goo worms, I thought you were abandoning us and left southern border yourself. He Lulan spoke quickly, demanding imposingly. That was a desperate move that I was forced to use. You also saw that I failed and suffered heavy injuries when I used fixed immortal travel the first time. Furthermore, why would I abandon you? The situation now is filled with danger. We have to stay united to have a bigger chance of survival. Ing Wu Xie said convincingly. He Lulan snorted. She wanted to continue arguing, but Ing Wu Xie stopped her from speaking. Enough. We will use fixed immortal travel to leave now. My identity is already exposed. Heavenly Court knows already. Who immortal blessed land is not safe. We have to transfer the resources inside. Fang Yuan sprinted rapidly. He did not use any goo worms, but he was fast like a charging horse. After 15 minutes of sprinting, he did not feel any fatigue. Along the way, he realized joyfully. This body might look pale and tender, but it had incredible defense. During his sprint, none of the tree branches that scraped his body left a mark. The sharp rocks on the ground were crushed when he stepped on them. They were no obstruction to him. Furthermore, he had huge strength that by just leaping gently. He could jump for 10 meters of distance. But what made Fang Yuan disappointed was, he did not encounter any traces of Ing Wu Xie, Tai Bai Yun Sheng, or He Lulan wherever he went. Chapter 1024. Fang Yuan borrows goo. Wind blew wildly past him. Fang Yuan traveled across mountains and rivers. Even without using goo worms, his speed was very fast. After he left the range of the tribulations, he no longer saw flat plains. Instead, there were mountains and forests. Southern border was full of mountains. This was the special characteristic of the region. After running for so long, without any rest, I felt no fatigue at all. Most importantly, I did not even use a single goo worm. Fang Yuan was starting to feel the uniqueness of this body, now a goo master's body. Without using goo worms to modify them like black boar goo and white boar goo, was no different to a mortal. Precisely because of the Tao marks in their bodies, goo masters' bodies become extraordinary, filled with unique specialties. My body was created from the rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus goo. It seems that the Tao marks in me are not few in number. At the least, the number of strength path Tao marks surpass my previous body's accumulation. Fang Yuan assessed in his mind. After becoming an immortal zombie, he had also stopped feeling physical fatigue. But if his original body revived, he would definitely need to rest if he tried running like this. Fang Yuan ran in the thick forest. He used both his hands and legs to climb cliffs and steep paths. Fang Yuan was still naked. He was like a white figure dashing through the thick forest. He could see the thick forest clearly in his vision. Even during his sprinting, it was as if time was still. Fang Yuan could easily avoid obstacles. Using a phrase from Earth, this is visual acuity. My visual acuity while moving is superb to the extreme. This is definitely inhuman. My original body could only reach this stage after using goo worm. Rapidly, Fang Yuan ascended to the peak of this mountain. The forest that obscured his vision was gone. His field of vision expanded. He could see everything around him. Wind blew as his long hair swayed behind his back. Fang Yuan took a couple of deep breaths before settling down. His breathing was regular and relaxed, as if the running earlier did not happen. His stamina was unbelievable. Mountain winds blew coldly. Fang Yuan was still naked, without being covered up at all, but he felt no chill. His heartbeat returned to normal. Every time it beat, it was very strong and lively. Fang Yuan looked into the distance. His vision was very good. Looking 10,000 steps away, everything was clear to him. Looking around, Fang Yuan's gaze froze. He stared and focused. He saw traces of battle. It seems that Tai Bai Yun Sheng and He Lulan carried my body and encountered goo immortals here. They had a fight. Fang Yuan jumped down from a mountain peak. With a loud bang, he landed on a rock 10 meters below. He was uninjured. Even his legs felt no numbness. The rock below him, however, was covered in spider web-like cracks. Fang Yuan's eyes shined. He began experimenting. The distance between him and the ground increased. From 10 meters to 15 meters to 25 meters, into 40 meters. Using examples from Earth, 15 meters was the height of a 5-story building. 40 meters was a tall building, a lighthouse. He was not at his limit yet. The distance increased to 160 meters at this point. Fang Yuan felt his feet turning numb. His guts were huge. Several times, he used other areas of his body to land. His chest hit the ground. His back hit the ground. He was able to create holes in the mountain rocks. Fang Yuan stood up from the holes, completely intact. In fact, the numb feeling felt great. Breathing in deeply, Fang Yuan jumped down again. This time, he was at 180 meters. This height was not a problem for Fang Yuan. But the point was, he was pointing his head downwards. Bam! With a loud sound, Fang Yuan's entire head was buried into the rock. Propping himself up, he pulled his head out of the rock. The skull was the hardest part of the body, but Fang Yuan felt something. His skull was numb, and he felt a little dizzy. But this dizziness only lasted for 3 breaths of time, and it was very mild. With a gust of cool breeze, it was gone. Fang Yuan touched his head and inspected his body. He was completely intact. He did not even lose a single strand of hair. He was good as new. Fang Yuan tried to pull his hair. He found out that his hair was very durable. He had to use a lot of strength to pull out one strand. This hair was thicker than a normal person's hair. It was black and shiny, resembling a thin steel wire. Pulling it further, it did not break. It was extremely durable, Fang Yuan thought. He tied this hair around his wrist, turning several rounds before tightening it. This hair could not be lost. If someone with ill intentions took it, it was a useful thing for deductions. Fang Yuan ran towards the area with traces of battle, while jumping down from mountain cliffs and testing his limits. The height continued to increase. From 180 meters, he reached 250 meters at this point. Fang Yuan felt pain, but it was not unbearable yet. Eventually, after 330 meters, Fang Yuan stopped his experiment. From this height, he could already feel evident pain. The area where he landed on was slightly red. There was a slight bruise. 330 meters is not my body's limit? Fang Yuan was shocked. This height was terrifying. Even the Eiffel Tower on Earth was only 300 meters tall. With just this body, without using a single defensive goo, I can reach this level. Even goo immortals, with just their bodies alone, it is not common to reach this level, right? It seems that among the Tao marks that I have, there are a lot of defensive properties. Realizing this, Fang Yuan was more assured he had no defensive immortal goo now. He only had unravel mystery, change soul, and attitude goo. Arriving at the location of the battle traces, Fang Yuan squatted down and investigated. It seems to be them. Soon, Fang Yuan stood up, frowning. Without investigative goo worms, it was very troublesome. Fang Yuan could not be certain, but he knew that he had to continue chasing them. There is not much time left. He had no time to check his own abilities. The earlier experiment was only due to convenience. Fang Yuan continued pursuing them. Soon, he found the second and third traces of them. Fang Yuan followed these traces and slowly changed his direction. Battles between goo immortals usually happened in the sky. There were few traces left on the ground. And because Fang Yuan could not fly, it was hard for him to track them. As time passed, Fang Yuan's heart sank to rock bottom. Suddenly, a figure descended from the sky like a comet. With a loud crash, he landed in front of Fang Yuan. Fire spread everywhere, burning all of the surrounding trees. Who is it? Fang Yuan frowned. His eyes shined as he shouted coldly. I am Huakong Dong. Did you come from Etian Mountain? The person was burning in flames. His attitude was not friendly. Fang Yuan's expression turned grim. Change soul, immortal goo's aura burst out as he questioned instead of answering. You came at a good time, just now when you were flying. Did you see any suspicious individuals? Sensing the aura of change soul, immortal goo, he knew that Fang Yuan was not to be trifled with. His demeanor changed. The majority of rank 6 goo immortals did not have immortal goo. Even though Huakong Dong was a lone cultivator, he had already joined Southern Borders Chai clan. Chai clan was a super force. In this battle of Etian Mountain, Chai clan's goo immortals died. Chai clan's first supreme elder thus sent an external elder, goo immortal Huakong Dong, to investigate the cause. Hearing Fang Yuan's question, Huakong Dong thought in his mind, suspicious individuals? You are running around here, but naked in broad daylight. You are the most suspicious one. He was silent briefly before answering. There is not a single person within 100 li other than you, sir. Damn it! Damn it! Fang Yuan screamed. His expression was twisted and ruthless. He seemed to be bloodthirsty. Next, he clenched his fists as he gritted his teeth, speaking to himself. It seems they have escaped. But even if you escape to the ends of the world, I will find you. I will return this humiliation to you by 100-fold, 1,000-fold. Huakong Dong saw Fang Yuan like this and had a guess. It seems this person is naked because he was plotted against by someone. He lost many goo worms and suffered a loss. He has a fierce personality and is furious now. I should be careful. Fang Yuan did not explain anything, but Huakong Dong had already found an explanation for Fang Yuan in his mind. Furthermore, he did not want to provoke Fang Yuan. It was not worth it to deal with his anger. I did not delve deeply into Etian Mountain. Go and see for yourself. Saying this, Fang Yuan was ready to leave. Hearing this answer, Huakong Dong was not pleased. He wanted to obstruct Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan paused in his steps. He asked, "Wait, you are Huakong Dong, a member of Chai clan?" "That's right." Huakong Dong stared blankly as he answered. Fang Yuan showed an unsightly smile. "Good. I am old friends with your 9th Supreme Elder. Has he completed his battlefield killer move Myriad Flash Fire?" Huakong Dong quickly replied. 9th Elder is still in seclusion. He is forced to stay in by his grandfather. Earlier he tried to harass Fairy After I settle this matter, I will look for him. Fang Yuan said, stretching out his arm to Huakong Dong. "Lend me some goo worms." Huakong Dong was shocked. "What? You are a grand goo immortal. Just lend me some mortal goo. Why are you so stingy?" Fang Yuan asked impatiently. Huakong Dong thought, 9th Elder is completing his battlefield killer move, but that is only an excuse to outsiders. The truth is, he did harass Fairy E. The other party knows this. He must be friends with him. Even though I joined Chai clan, I am only a lone cultivator and outsider. But 9th Elder is a member of Chai clan and the grandson of 1st Supreme Elder. If I meet his friend and refuse to lend goo worms, he would definitely be unhappy with me. Then I'll lend them that they're mortal goo anyway. They don't cost much. Huakong Dong took out his goo worms, handing them to Fang Yuan, asking, "I wonder what is your name, brother?" "I am Dong Fang Xiongji." Fang Yuan waved his hand. Huakong Dong stared as he thought. He is Dong Fang Xiongji? He is indeed a notorious friend of 9th Elder. He is famous in southern border for being extremely stingy. Moreover, he is small-minded and would take revenge for minor grievances. But he doesn't look like this. Oh, he has no clothes left. He could only change his appearance. Never mind. I can forget about getting back these goo worms I lent him. But if I can get this person to leave after lending to him, it would be a blessing. Chapter 1025. Dark Night, Cold Winds. Whoosh! Fang Yuan flew in the sky. Like a fireball, his body was burning in flames. A long trail of smoke was behind him. He had quite the striking appearance. The situation earlier was quite dangerous. Fang Yuan met Huakong Dong. Even though he had 3 immortal goo, and some soul path and dream path mortal goo, they were not comprehensive. If they fought, he would be at a disadvantage. Even if Fang Yuan wanted to use the immortal killer move and swap souls with Huakong Dong, he could not. Earlier, when swapping souls with Ing Wu Xie, he had already expended a lot of mortal goo. All of the goo worms with him could not form a full set to use the killer move. But using his superior acting skills, not only did he alleviate the danger, he scammed 4 rank 5 mortal goo from him. In my previous life, I joined the Battle of Etian Mountain and the huge gambling contest. I witnessed the conflicts between Southern Borders goo immortals and obtained a lot of information. Thanks to this, I was able to learn about the relationship between Chai clan's 9th Elder and Dong Fang Xiongji. I could deceive Huakong Dong just now thanks to attitude goo. Even though Fang Yuan had the original familiar face, he modified it with attitude goo as the core, using 1,000 mortal goo for the new version. But he could not use this killer move now. Earlier, against Huakong Dong, he had used attitude goo solely. Attitude goo's ability is to conceal my true emotions and show a fake attitude. It can make others believe it. Thinking back, Fang Yuan felt that attitude goo was really useful, Because he used attitude Gu secretly, his acting earlier was flawless. Huakong Dong felt that Fang Yuan was enraged and did not want to provoke him. There was another advantage too. Even though attitude Gu was of high rank, it had a low usage requirement. It only expended mental energy. Fang Yuan had just revived. He had little immortal essence. It was far less than his original accumulation. Unfortunately, attitude Gu is not mine. I have to return it to He Lu Lan eventually. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan felt it was a great pity. Even though he had revived and obtained a new body, his soul was the same as before. It did not change. Earlier, just after he had reborn, he had set a new alliance agreement with He Lu Lan and Fairy Li Shan. This alliance agreement was very restrictive and did not have any loopholes. It restricted the alliance members in both body and soul. Thus, even though Fang Yuan was in a different body, he could not go against it. But the effect of the alliance agreement should be split into two portions. One is in the soul while the other is in the body. I am only considered half an alliance member. Sigh. Even so, the harm of going against the agreement is too great. Even if it does not affect my body, my soul would not be able to endure it. This body must have quite a lot of wisdom path Dao marks. While he was pondering, Fang Yuan's thoughts shifted as he realized another point. He distinctly remembered. When he had just become an immortal zombie, his mind could not work well. He was like a dying old man whose thinking was very slow. Using wisdom path methods, he managed to overcome this flaw. After obtaining a new body, he could feel his thoughts turning rapidly with just a shift of his mind. Inspiration was bursting out like the water of a fountain. During the process of thinking, thoughts were being produced in larger numbers, like the ripples of waves from the sea. I can finally stop using wisdom path Gu worms to replenish the thoughts in my mind. At this moment, Fang Yuan was about to tear up. In the past, he had to use Gu worms to generate thoughts and think. But now, with a living body, he could produce large numbers of thoughts, and these thoughts varied greatly. There were malicious thoughts, kind thoughts, longing thoughts, empty thoughts, battle thoughts, evil thoughts, obsessed thoughts. As long as a person is alive, there would be a great variety of thoughts in their mind. This is not strange. But my speed of producing thoughts is much faster than normal. I could sustain even the rate of consumption under the light of wisdom for a long time. Precisely because of this, Fang Yuan predicted that this body had a significant number of wisdom path Dao marks. As to how many, he could not estimate the numbers yet. The clarity of his cognition was unprecedented. Even his former body, before becoming an immortal zombie, was far inferior. Other than wisdom path Dao marks, I also have quite a number of fire path Dao marks. Fang Yuan looked at the flames on his body as bright light flashed in his eyes. The clothing of fire he was wearing was the rank 5 fire cape Gu. Once used, it would cause the body to burn in flames. They were harmless but had an elaborate effect, showing an eye-catching appearance. Huakong Dong also used this Gu, but his body was covered in flames that were less than a human finger long. But Fang Yuan's flames not only covered his whole body, they were very long. The height of the flames exceeded the forearm of an adult man. Other than fire cape Gu, Fang Yuan also borrowed a rank 5 flying smoke Gu. Right now, Fang Yuan was flying in the sky. It was due to flying smoke Gu. Behind Fang Yuan, thick black smoke billowed out. Most importantly, his speed was so fast that it exceeded the normal limits of flying smoke Gu. It could match some mortal killer moves. During the process of flying, winds blew wildly as he left the mountains behind. Fang Yuan had an idea in his mind. It seems that not only are there fire path Dao marks, I also have Dao marks suited for flying. He could finally fly. This way, Fang Yuan's flying quasi-grandmaster attainment level could be displayed. Being able to fly meant that he could be very agile in fighting. When humans stood on the ground, they could only move left, right, forward, backward, or jump up and down. But in the sky, they could fly in all directions, evading wherever they wished. This was a qualitative change. His battle strength rose rapidly because of just one Gu worm. Of course, Fang Yuan's current battle strength was still very low among Gu immortals. If he met other southern border Gu immortals, he would need to deceive them using attitude Gu. I should try to avoid battles and catch up to Ing Wuxia. I need to expose his identity and join up with He Lu Lan and Tai by Yun Shang. Fang Yuan planned. Right now, because Etion Mountain was covered by the huge dream realm, Ing Wuxia would not go there. Fang Yuan's special will would not activate if he went there. After the time limit was up, Fang Yuan's goo worms would self-detonate. But as long as Fang Yuan controlled the situation, it could still be resolved. That was to use He Lu Lan and Tai by Yunshang's help to collect goo worms and swap souls again. After using Change Soul, Fang Yuan would return to his original body and mobilize his goo worms, extracting the special will from them. There is a need to explain the relationship between souls, bodies, and thoughts here. With just a body, thoughts could not be produced. The body only provided the mind. The soul produces thoughts, but they could not last. The mind was needed to store them and cause collisions to result in thinking. When goo masters manipulate goo worms, normally speaking, they were using thoughts to control them. Ing Wuxia's soul would produce different thoughts from Fang Yuan's. Thus, he could not use Fang Yuan's goo worms. Time was pressing. Fang Yuan needed to hurry. Being able to fly expanded his field of vision. It was immensely better than searching on foot. Along the way, he saw many traces of fighting. Gu immortals usually fought in the sky. This was a trait that separated them from goo masters. That Gu immortals had goo worms and time to train their flying abilities. But goo masters normally could not. Thus, though these traces were all left behind during battle, there was little obvious damage to the terrain. Luckily, southern border had a lot of mountains. If this was northern plains with linear terrain, the traces would be fainter. If it was eastern sea or western desert, the signs would be even more faint. But despite this, Fang Yuan could not catch his target. As the sky turned dark, his heart sank. Sigh. He exhaled at the sky. He gave up on chasing them. He changed his mind and left, rapidly retreating. Fang Yuan was taking a huge risk in searching for them. Etion Mountain was already a troublesome place to be nearby. Spectral soul refined goo and went through tribulation. Many southern border goo immortals died. The matter had escalated so much that more southern border goo immortals were sure to investigate the area. Ing Wuxia and the others encountered some of these southern border goo immortals, who came to investigate. Fang Yuan met Huakong Dong, but he was only one of them. The difference between the two situations was, the former were northern plains goo immortals. They were regarded with antagonism by southern border goo immortals. Fang Yuan had a southern border goo immortal aura. He did not attract excessive suspicion. But if he continued to stay, even if Fang Yuan had attitude goo, it was not safe. I left a lot of fake will in my mind. But Ing Wuxia did not chase after me. Was it because of the obstruction of these southern border goo immortals? Or did he find out my arrangement? Or were there some hidden details? Fang Yuan guessed. The huge force of Shadow Sect and Spectral Soul Demon Venerables, tens of thousands of years of planning. There are surely arrangements left behind. Even just Zombie Alliance's branches in the 5 regions are already a huge asset. Would Ing Wuxia go to them? In the worst-case scenario, if he uses my identity to take over my assets, how can I deal with it? Dang Hun Mountain and Luo Po Valley were once used by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable to cultivate. They are in Hu Immortal Blessed Land and Star Form Blessed Land respectively. Even if Ing Wuxia does not know the scenery of Hu Immortal Blessed Land and Star Form Blessed Land, he can directly teleport to Dang Hun Mountain and Luo Po Valley using fixed immortal travel, right? Even after swapping souls, the land spirit should be able to detect the difference. But there are many ways to deceive land spirits, and the enemy is Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's split soul. Fang Yuan gradually stopped flying. He floated in the air. Cold wind continued to blow. His mind seemingly was being chilled. The night became darker. Fang Yuan's face also had a deep layer of gloominess. Where did Ing Wuxia, Tai by Yunshang, and He Lu Lan go exactly? Fixed immortal travel. Jade green light dissipated. Ing Wuxia left southern border, returning to central continent. Ma master. Before he looked around, a meek voice could be heard. It is me. Ing Wuxia raised his head, replying nonchalantly. Looking around, his lips curled into a smile.